Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints are 2-0, man. It's hard to be upset with that, but the big storyline after last night, really the last 2 weeks, has been how bad the Saints' offensive line is and how much this offense has been stuck in the mud trying to complement a great defense. From what you've seen, what is a realistic expectation for how much better the offense can get as the season goes along to complement that defense, which has been pretty magnificent?
Yeah, they put it on them last night and the week before. I don't think we've seen the offense near at its best. I mean, what they give up? 4 sacks, I think, last night.
Yeah.
They have to protect the passer a little bit more, and the timing of getting the ball out. It's kind of, I think the team improvement offensively will get better. And how long we got till Kamara comes back? So a couple weeks.
Yeah, no, he's
2
out.
Weeks. Right?
He's out this week against Green Bay, and then he returns week 4 against Tampa. There
you go. So that'll be a nice addition. Fresh legs and ready to go, and a guy who makes you defend the entire, in the run game, sideline to sideline, and his ability to, what'll really help too, while I love the way he runs, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, Matty. You know this. I'm not telling you anything they don't know, but that puts a lot less stress on the guys up front. But it's going to have to get better. Obviously, they're fortunate they're in a division that they can still win if they don't play great. But I don't think we've seen the offense anywhere near a passing game, even though I think Carr's to top 10 in yards. But it's the efficiency of making sure, 20 points to me is not going to be enough for the Saints. They're better than that. And I think they'll get better. Here's one thing, though. I get asked this about Houston, too, or any team. How tough is it to fix an offensive line or change protection during a season? You know what I mean, Matty? We don't, it's really, I don't know about you, but the last 2 weeks, and this isn't old school, has nothing to do with what era you're playing in or viewing in or the younger or the older players. I don't care about that. It has everything to do with shortened training camp. You just got to understand, and you do, but we got to accept defenses usually are ahead. Sometimes guys like Micah Parsons and TJ Watt almost feel unblockable. And the two things that stick out is training camp is not long enough for you to get the exact number of reps. I'm not even talking about games. I'm talking about on the practice field in pads and two-a-days and step into the right position. That's why the offensive line, like in Houston, when you got 4 of the 5 guys hurt, or when you're not in sync, how do you fix the mechanics during the week? Because we're game planning. We're not like, okay, like in preseason, we'll game plan in preseason. We're working on the mechanics and the steps and putting in your library. When you go to the regular season, we don't have time to wait on guys. Hey, let's go over to the side and work on our mechanics. You're putting a game plan in, so you've got to double time it. And while you're doing that, you're still trying to work on, the continuity of the 5 guys up front. When Alvin gets back, protection purposes and way we're sliding the line. So that's going to be the slowest transition. So during the season, I would expect that to come a little slower. I think the offense will come faster now. Listen, they're both tied together at the hip. The offense is always better when the guys up front dominate. But there's another level to it. But I don't think I'd expect Pro Bowl performances during the season overall, like they're going to be one of the 3 best lines. But if you can just make some 1 or 2% better each week and have your full complement of people healthy, you'll get better. The team's going to be better, and the team will score more. And the defense, like you said, we've said for a few years, when they get it going, they're a Super Bowl caliber defense. We've seen the Jets and the Cowboys, and a few other teams play really good defense. I like this team and the division they're in, but with Carr, they're going to get better, and they're going to run games get increased, and they'll make more plays. But the offensive line is it's been a sore spot in the NFL to start the first 2 weeks, and quarterback play has been average around the league. So it's not just in New Orleans. You're getting it a lot of places right now, especially when it comes to blocking people.
Yeah, a lot of people have maybe mentioned that with Cincinnati, right? I mean, Joe Burrow missing camp, and then obviously all the issues with the offensive line there as well.
And real quick, Matty, about that, they always start slow in Cincinnati. But what's been the reason? Like, it's not fair to say one, but for me, the overwhelming reason the last 2 years, last year they didn't move on to the playoffs, and the year before when they went to the Super Bowl, and let's see who beat them in the Super Bowl.
It was the Rams.
Rams, there you go. The Rams in the Super Bowl is what's been the problem with them, and it was the offensive line. It lasted most of the season. They got knocked around, so that's going to have to improve too. And look at all the playmakers on that team. So This is sloppy play up front and confused play up front. That's why guys like Parsons and Watt and Bosa's are going to dominate for a minute.
Hey, do you remember playing behind a leaky offensive line and what that did for you? Because I'm trying to think about for Derek Carr what this has to be like for him as a veteran guy. I mean, he's 10 years in the league now. He's played a lot of ball, but it just can't be comfortable knowing you're constantly under duress every time you drop back.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's not even just the sacks, Matty. It's the constant pressures and hits. They take their toll, and I don't care if you're a third-year guy or a 10 or 12-year guy. What happens is the tendency, if you keep getting hit, it's not you're not afraid or any of that, but what happens is your head then, one is the ball prematurely goes places you don't want it to go. I mean, we like good timing and want it thrown on time, but sometimes in order to prevent it, because you feel the rush, that ball's coming out even too soon, if that makes sense. A lot of times we see guys hold it on longer, but when you start to get a feel for that built-in time clock, that you're not getting to the built-in time clock, that even the pre-part of it's like, man, this is instant pressure. And you can't live on the quick game alone, because when you do, they squeeze you. So that intermediate pushing back 5 steps in a hitch or a second hitch or 7 or 5, but with play action, you're holding the ball a little longer to be able to extend it down the field. You cannot live horizontally or just check down the whole time to get the ball out. That's one. And I can tell you, so your head starts to go to the rush. And then with that second or third read, Matty, if you're holding on to the ball, you're late getting to 2, which automatically makes you late getting to 3, because you go head up like a rookie does, boom, and you're starting to watch a little more pass rush. That's human nature now. The more veteran you are, the chin stays up and you're feeling pass rush, but you already know going in, you get a feel for a game that this is a pressure point. So whether it's somebody with health issues up front or just execution issues, I was fortunate, man, at SC. Roy Foster, Bruce Matthews, Don Most, all first rounders. The quarterback should have been better, right? In Minnesota, Randall McDaniel, Gary Zimmerman, 2 Hall of Famers. Yeah, now the Chargers, we had a few guys banged up, but we were able to still do some pretty good things. I've never been on a team where when I drop back to pass, it's like you can't even set up before it's out. But veterans a little more advantage because they understand where you're going with the football, but still – getting rid of it prematurely doesn't give people a chance to finish their routes, and you can't live on 0 to 5 yards or the quick game your whole life. That's going to have to improve for Derek to be able to hold the ball. One thing, though, he saw with his brother, he saw some of it in Oakland. He's pretty tough, man. He knows how to get it out, but that will improve with more reps because the preseason, again, there's minimal physicality. And a lot of the time, those big fellas aren't playing a lot of snaps to get 5 guys in continuity. That's more important than getting in continuity with a wide receiver who's running a 12-yard curl. Yeah. Those 5 guys up front got to be in sync, like swimming pool. When you're doing those gold medal in sync stuff, the line got to be in sync as much as anybody on the field.
The synchronized swimmers with their matching
there you
caps.
Go. Synchronized. That's exactly right.
Hey,
I don't think they want to wear the swimming hats, but other than that, you got to be pretty close together. So you got to know what the left arm's telling the right arm with the right guard and kind of lock an arm in arm and get it done.
He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Y'all give him a follow. Let me ask also about the NFC South. I mean, I think coming into the season, we all here thought this would be the worst division in the NFC, maybe in football. But here you have Atlanta, Tampa, New Orleans, all 2-0. Atlanta, a nice win this weekend over Green Bay at home. We saw Tampa maybe with the most surprising result so far, Sean, going up to Minnesota and getting a win in week 1. Is this division better than maybe we gave it credit for? It's just too early.
Probably. I when I say better, I don't think, Matty, that they're in any of the 3 teams that you mentioned are in the big boy, that big boy where it's like, if I'm naming yet, who's a big boy that's supposed to be a big boy? The Cincinnati Bengals, and they look anything but that. So I think the Bengals aren't going to live where they've been living the last 2 weeks. You and I both know that. Yet, I mean, look at the Browns offense now with Nick Chubb out, and Watson has struggled mightily. Mm-hmm. It's up and down the league. And, even in Atlanta, Ritter's been a high percentage guy, but they're not stretching the field vertically. They're not getting a lot of big plays down the field. They got a couple this past week. We've seen Bryce Young. Yeah, and Mayfield, the two teams that are the better teams right now, the experienced quarterbacks, even though neither one of them were on these teams, but Baker's playing good. So, yeah, I think it's a better division because going in, it was like somebody going to win it with 8 wins this year. But I love the 2 at the top, in particular in Tampa and in New Orleans. defense is going to sustain them for a while because they're both flying around, and we know Tampa's defense is great against the run. And now Atlanta, I like Arthur Smith. Ritter's efficient enough. And the best offensive player, in my opinion, it's a rookie, is Robinson. Bijan Robinson's a friggin' freak show.
Yeah.
And he is going to make it really, really easy on quarterbacks to just play smart because he is their 1-2 punch in running game. That will keep them in games as well. Carolina's got a long way to go. But, yeah, I do think it's better. And when Tampa sent that message to the Vikings, who are going to score 1,000 points this year and give up 1,020, is that they do what the Vikings do. They'll pass it all over the lot, and all of a sudden you're saying, how'd they lose? They find ways, and unfortunately, it's becoming a habit there. They're better than that. But, yeah, I think at the top it's better. It's a deeper division than we thought, but I don't think I can put them in the 49er big boy category type yet, Miami Dolphins. But they're in the next tier down. Their record says they are, but they're going to have to do a few more things to be able to hop up into that elite status. Their defense is, but the overall product's going to have to get better in that division overall.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.